This is Thorn and Liberty trailer for the game. I know nothing about this game, man. I know it came out. I knew it has some mixed reviews. A lot of people weren't really feeling it. We're gonna check it out anyway, cause you know I gotta get my hands on MMOs. It looks cool, right? But looks sometimes can be deceiving.
Seeking to claim the power of the stars for themselves.
For themselves. Is there a class system in this? Oh wow, look at that.
Is a vast, living, breathing open world with diverse environments to explore and deadly enemies to defeat. Shapeshift into legendary creatures to carry you through the air and over the waves.
Oh, you could transform into animals and stuff in the water. That's pretty cool. So there's no mounts, you could just transform. That seems pretty cool.
Take up arms and join others as you fight alongside fellow guild members.
Guild members.
As your skill grows, you'll unlock powerful new abilities.
Okay, I mean, it looks cool. It looks like there's a lot of classes and stuff.
To counter your enemies, use ranged attacks to draw your enemies in, and swap to hard-hitting melee to finish them off.
Oh, so you have two different moves, two different weapons?
The Legion isn't the only enemy you'll need to fight. Battle other players
PvP.
in dungeons, player-controlled castle sieges.
Whoa.
Open world combat and conquest battles for territory. Gather your guild.
I like this.
Prepare for battle.
It looks good. Great,
Claim the throne.
great presentation, right? July 18th. Oh, that was the open beta. September 17th. See, I knew. Well, no, it doesn't even. It was launching. Okay, so September 17th is when it was launching, and I thought they pushed it back to October 1st because of the fact that New World was doing their beta at the same time. But nah, once the New World beta is up, this is could have came out, but they pushed it back. Interesting. Okay, let's see the other trailer I got right here. Whoa, buddy. Whoa, buddy. What is this? What trailer is this? This is Thorn and Liberty's beta is fun, but doesn't do enough to stand out.
I've done my time in major MMOs
Oh, yeah.
like Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, but outside of that, I've only dabbled in the various other forms that this subgenre can take. So when I say that Throne and Liberty isn't quite rising to my past experiences with massively multiplayer dungeon diving, loot grinding, and boss slaying, it's an opinion coming largely from a normie. That said,
Okay,
both FF14 and WoW have big expansions launching the same year as this, NCSoft's Guild Wars 2 follow-up, and though its world is beautiful and its combat grows into a compelling and active ballet of skill interactions, the largely boring story and repetitive quest design I experienced in my 10 or so hours with the open beta makes me worried for Throne and Liberty's chances at unseating the kings of the genre.
Uh-oh. Let's see what he has to talk
It's
about,
a great
man.
looking game, though. The character creator lets you customize your avatar with some commendable levels of detail.
Cool,
And no matter what
cool.
you put together, the end result will look fantastic and shows no signs of that sort of player-character uncanny valley that some games suffer from, where the overall quality of your PC is lower than the handcrafted NPCs from the developer.
It's crazy.
The world is pretty stunning, too. Once you see the huge flying whale for the first time, you'll go quite a few hours before seeing something that majestic again, but the environments you'll travel through on your journey are rich in color and detail. I really love the swampy forest overrun by spiders and the colorful plain with giant wild birds that are definitely not chocobos. Even better, all of this runs remarkably smoothly, becoming your own mount and morphing into a wild...
So it looks like there's, what, 6 moves? Maybe 7? 8 moves? 9?
cities, or fast traveling from location to location, loads lightning fast and in real time no matter how many people are on screen. You're going to do quite a lot of traveling from place to place, guided around by a completely unremarkable story about magically blessed youngsters growing into warriors of destiny, and the various factions in the world of Solicium that want to use them for their own gain. I didn't get too far into it, only around chapter 5, which is halfway through the available content at the time, but none of it stood out as compelling. Thanks to a reliable narrator that recaps important parts of the story I did soon after doing them, I found myself skipping through much of the bland dialogue and non-cinematic.
Absolutely.
Stages.
I mean, I don't play these games for story.
The main path and
to be
side
a
missions
100.
Run-of-the-mill MMO fare. You're going to be collecting pieces of the local wildlife to make a potion, find missing people, do a stint as a mail carrier, etc. There's a steady pace of new things to learn and do as you go along, but Throne and Liberty treating the main story as an elongated tutorial gave me a bit of anxiety about how to use all the random stuff I was getting as rewards. To the point where I was very conservative with how I spent any of the loot because I didn't want to spend it on upgrading something if I was only going to learn that I could have spent it on something else in the next couple of quest phases.
True.
Every region of the map has its own specific side tasks, which are worth completing for their rewards even if you aren't usually the type to make sure all of their boxes get checked. These are more likely to feature more interesting missions or puzzles to solve than the main quest, but there's plenty of kill X of Y here too.
The combat looks pretty
I
cool.
didn't see too many of these myself, but I chatted with a few folks in my travels who described some more complex platforming missions and instances that I definitely wanted to try out myself. You'll do a great deal of fighting on your journey, of course, and its active combat is Throne and Liberty's standout feature.
Yeah, I
Weapons
was about
aren't
to
restricted
say.
by classes. The pair of weapons they choose to wield determines what abilities are available to them.
Man, I kind of like the traditional class system. What's his name? New World does this too.
Similar to NCSoft's other big MMO, Guild Wars 2, fights require lots of positional awareness, and skills have lots of synergies with one another, both within and across weapon types. It encourages lots of trial and error to figure out the best combinations for getting the most out of them.
Gotcha.
Every weapon has an auto attack pattern and can parry enemies' big attacks so long as you hit the button prompt just right. And each weapon has their own set of follow-up attacks that take great advantage of the opening you just made. This mechanic seems ancillary against smaller foes, but against bosses and other strong enemies, defense is a must if you're going to make it out of their clutches alive. Mastery of it was an absolute must in the Bloody Palace style boss rush mode, where you face off one-on-one with tough foes that have lots of power and small margins for error.
I like that.
I used the great sword.
I like that. I like that game mode. I like that game mode. I haven't even played it yet, but I like that because I want Final Fantasy 14 to have something like that.
Giving me lots of power and health in melee, and also
But I know, it can't.
giving me some escape tools and long-range magical options. I use them mostly to charge into close combat, blast all of my abilities, and then use a magical freezing cloud to leap me away from enemies and sling fire and lightning bolts at them until they close the distance. These abilities have more direct synergies too. Great sword players will have access to a skill that can stun targets and can follow it up with another skill that does bonus damage to stun foes.
Oh, nice.
Staff can put burning conditions on your opponents, and a second bigger fire spell will do more damage to enemies with burning stacks on them. Late in the
Nice.
beta, I experimented with some cross-weapon synergy with other weapon options like the Wand, which focuses on debuffing and healing, with some promising results. Most of the stuff I got up to, like big world events where I had to race other players to collect the most MacGuffins from orcs, or smaller, more simple fetch quests, rewarded me mostly in money and gear upgrade materials. It's a double-edged sword because though much of the source of your ever-growing power outside of your character's leveling up also comes through leveling up your gear, but a lot of that gear is bland and boring through much of your climb. I was around mid to late 20s in level when I logged off for the last time from the beta,
Oof.
and I only had picked up 2 different swords, neither particularly impressive in looks or stats.
You hate to see
Armor
it.
was a bit more dynamic, but I had almost no connection to the loot I was grabbing at all outside of making the numbers go up. I can't speak to how that shakes out towards the higher levels, where one would expect equipment to get more exotic. But trudging there means that the only things that you're slaying are the bad guys. Overall, I certainly enjoyed most of my time with Throne and Liberty. There are big late-game things that I want to come back and participate in, like large-scale PvP battles between guilds and raid dungeons.
The raid
Story and
dungeons look
quests
cool.
won't upend any long-standing MMO conventions. The inner voice that usually commands me to make sure every task that can be done must be done very quietly let me skip through slow dialogue and turn a blind eye to many menial side tasks. I never skipped an opportunity to fight though. The parry system, mixed with the joy of discovering 6 skill
That parry system looks pretty cool.
various weapons
6.
available to you, was by and large the most fun I could find in my time with it, and might be enough for me to come
So
back
12
and test my
moves.
mettle against the cream of the crop when Throne and Liberty finally launches in September.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna check it
For
out.
more on Throne and Liberty, don't
Yeah, we're
miss
gonna check it out. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how I feel, but I gotta get my hands on it to actually understand it. But yeah, we're gonna check it out.